All right, we in here. It's the book reviews.
Back
at it again, and we have a special guest with us. So I'm here with you again today. It's me, Channing Tatum. With me, as always, is Margot Robbie, and today we do have a guest, Jonah Hill, and we're so excited to be with you today.
I'm glad I was Margot Robbie. I was
Thanks, Channing and Margot.
Oh man, you're welcome. Welcome, Jonah. So yeah, we're back at it. We do have a guest with us. We have Caroline today. Caroline, why don't you introduce yourself? You have a booktube channel, so throw it out there.
Hey,
plug yourself, if you will.
I'm Caroline. I do have a YouTube channel, just my name, Caroline Johnson. Book related content. Yeah.
It's not your name anymore. Are you gonna change
it? No. I don't know. It's a lot of.
I understand. Fame is tough. It really is. So what got you into? I feel like we've talked about this before, but when did you make your first video ever?
Yeah, I do. It was actually on. It was either the day before or on Halloween in like 2019, and it was Halloween related. I did something about horror books, I think. Yeah.
Nice. What's your favorite horror book?
I really like the first one that popped into my mind was Kill Creek by Scott Thomas. I really like it. It takes place all on Halloween night. Secluded haunted house book with horror authors there for a PR stunt, and it turns out the house might actually be haunted. I really like that one. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Is it a what?
I've never heard of it.
I'd say so.
Like
it's
a
not
quick
like
read?
I mean, I'm wearing a House of Leaves hoodie. I love House of Leaves, but
I've seen that book at least. I mean, every time I go to Barnes & Noble or Books A Million, I see it and I think about buying it, and then I look at how much it costs, and I
yeah, and
swear
you
to
have
God,
to
that
read
book's
the
like
physical
$50.
version. I mean, it's a tome and a puzzle. There's nothing else like it.
Dude, Jesse, do you know what this book is that she's talking about?
No, but I feel like
crazy.
Did we talk about this that time we hung out?
Jesse, I feel like yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Okay, I need to read it.
Well, it's like it's not even a book. Like, how would you describe it? Like, when I remember when Caroline showed it to me, I was like, "What? What is this?"
Yeah, it's like a puzzle. It's like I don't know. I really don't know how to explain it. You can read it. I don't want to say in any order that you want. There are just different ways you can consume the story.
So, but what's the premise? Is it like a file? Like it's like a file?
Oh,
or something
yeah.
that you're
So,
reading,
okay.
right?
Oh, I wish you'd asked me this like a year ago. I had it down. So basically,
should we just plug your video? I know for a fact you made a video on this.
I can't. Yeah. I do have video. I do have a video.
We'll definitely put it
or something. I do have a video where I did like a. Yeah, that would not sum it up quickly. But
is it like a murder happened, right? If I'm not mistaken, and you're like.
Yeah, so it starts out, you're following the protagonist. He's like a junkie in his early 20s, and he and his friend are breaking into someone's house, and they discover a dead body, but they also discover a trunk that has a lot of papers in it, and the papers tell this unfinished story that the guy, presumably the dead guy, was working on compiling all of these different notes, poems, maybe like his own musings, his own footnotes, and they're kind of out of order. It's just a really confusing way for a story to unfold, but that guy was really interested in a house that may or may not have been supernatural, but by all other accounts in the world, this house did not exist. And so he was trying to compile every piece of information that he could that would indicate that it did exist.
That actually sounds really interesting.
It does. I'm interested.
And so then, since that guy's dead now, the protagonist becomes super interested in it and wants to get to the bottom of it too.
Sounds pretty cool.
How long did it take you to read this book?
Yeah. It took a week, but I really threw myself into it.
So it would take a normal reader like a month.
I couldn't get out of it.
It's a thick book, right?
It's
I know that
all day.
I know that feeling.
It's huge.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll have to add that to the list, and I'm sure we'll get right to it because we don't even have a TBR actually when I think about it.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I don't have 200 books bought and paid for that I haven't read.
I do want to read another, like, I mean, I say this and it's literally October 24th, but
Yeah.
I mean, we
talked about reading some horror. We read Dracula.
Yeah.
A while back.
Oh, did you?
We did.
Amazing.
I've not read Dracula.
Oh, you should. It's so good. It's so good.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of.
Do you like classics? Like old
I
stuff?
do.
Okay.
I don't gravitate as much toward it.
Sure.
Yeah,
me neither.
Not as accessible in general, but I like it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, of the few classics, I think we've done 4 or 5 now. Dracula I like the most, and it's the only one that I really liked.
Yeah, we've done that one. Picture of Dorian Gray, trash. Tale of Two
Absolute
Cities
trash.
Was pretty
Tale
good.
of Two Cities was
Wait,
just
really?
Tale of Two Cities, I think was good.
Well,
it
this
was
is a different
like,
video. I don't.
Yeah, definitely a different video, but yeah, we have read some. We read Treasure Island and reviewed it. What else? I feel like there's something else that we've read. Oh, Dracula, obviously.
Oh, y'all read that. What did y'all read that was huge? Count of Monte Cristo. Did
We
y'all
have read that. We did not. We haven't reviewed that though. We read that. That was like one of our. That was actually, I think, the first book Jesse and I ever read together.
That's the first book we read together, bro. That's crazy. Man, so good. We picked 1,500 unabridged Count
we
of
read
Monte Cristo
unabridged.
to
That
read
was
together.
such a mistake.
Yeah, no, that's why it stuck out in my mind. I was like, that was a choice. I don't know
That was a
why
brutal
they did that.
choice. That was such a bad choice.
There were about 9 different times. I mean, I love that book, and I know you did too, but there were like 9 different times where we were texting each other like, why is this the book we read together? Like, we're going to be doing this the rest of our lives.
If it wasn't for, I think I got it on Libby or Audible or something. If it wasn't for that, I would not have finished it. You actually physically read it all, I think.
Yeah, I had it all.
Props to you. But
what can I say?
It is what it is. But that's not what we're here for. We're not here for the Count of Monte Cristo. We're here for another book that we've all 3 read. Kind of. Well, now we've all read it, but do we all remember?
What do you mean?
No. But we're here to talk about it together.
You got to keep that behind the paywall.
I'll cut all this out. Don't worry. I'll just bleep it. But the book that, God, dude, I think I just killed my eye. Anyway, is what's the full title? It's The Wager, and then there's something else behind it.
It's The Wager, A Tale of Shipwreck, Mutiny, and Murder by David Grann. He also wrote Killers of the Flower Moon, which is a great book. I believe that movie's coming out soon, actually, starring young Leo. So
is that still not out? I don't know why I thought that was already out.
I think it might have just came out. I'm not sure.
I could be wrong.
Scorsese just bought the rights to this too, to The Wager, and Leo. Yeah.
Oh, let's go.
Getting the gang back together before.
Who do you think he's gonna be? Who do you think Leo's gonna be?
It's gotta be cheap, right?
Surely.
Yeah, he's gotta be cheap.
Surely.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't think he'll be John Buckley?
You don't think he'll be shipmate number 3?
What about John King? Or
he might be like The Wager.
Or he could be
the ship itself.
Oh no, you already he might be one of the tribes people from that nomadic seafaring tribe that shows up in the middle.
Yeah, he might be, honestly.
Oh
man.
All
but
right,
anyway,
so
we all read this
The Wager.
book.
So real quick on Goodreads, we got 40,000 ratings. It's got a 4.24 stars out of 5.
It just came out,
Just initial reviews. Yeah, it came out, I think, April of this year. So April 18th, 2023. So that's cool. I gave it a 5.
Did you really?
Yeah, I mean, I gave it a 5 on what it was. I mean, he's a great writer to me, and like I wasn't I got what I expected to get. It was a cool story. It was real.
What'd you get out of 10?
I thought it was pretty wild. 10? See, this is where you get me, because my 10 answer usually indicates that I shouldn't have given it what I gave my 5 answer, but I'd probably give it like probably 7.5 out of 10. What are y'all's ratings?
Okay. I'll let Caroline go first.
Out of 5, I'd say I want to start by saying I was not the target audience. I know I selected this book.
Yeah, dude, when you selected this book for us to read, I was like, because we were honestly trying to get out of our genre wheelhouses, and you picked one right in our wheelhouse.
I didn't even I don't know. I just thought it would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to read it anyway. My favorite book from the past 2
American
years has
Kingpin.
been nonfiction, and this is the first non-fic read I've done this year, and it sounded like it would be a winner, and I thought it was timely with his other popular release having the adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we were
And
there
I
with
don't know,
you.
out of five, I think like a 3.5
Mm,
maybe for
strong.
me. But also I say that I don't enjoy rating nonfiction just because that's tough.
Yeah, it's way different rating nonfiction than anything else for
What would
sure.
you say out of 10?
Yeah. 3.5 times two, I guess. I
I
don't know.
literally was
What's
like,
that? 7?
that makes complete
Maybe
sense.
not 7 actually. No, that's a good question. 7 sounds high, right?
Yeah, because
Like a
that's
6
yeah,
maybe?
because I gave it a 7.5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd say maybe a 6. I mean, we'll get into it, but
yeah.
it was fine. No. Mm-mm.
You're frozen. What happened? All right, so while we lose
Is
him,
this how y'all
what?
well,
What?
I was gonna say, is this how y'all always film like this?
No, because we were just filming here, like in my room together. But since he moved to Nashville,
Yeah, that's what I had seen.
yeah,
Wait, he's in
he's in
Nashville?
Nashville now. Boy got him a new job,
Okay.
and he's out there grinding. Are you in Georgia
Nice.
still?
Yeah.
Where are you at? Or should we? We probably shouldn't say.
Lagr No, I'm in
Oh, okay,
LaGrange.
cool. Lagrange,
Yeah. I was in LaGrange, then I was in Columbus, and then back in LaGrange.
nice.
Just a lot,
Lots of
a lot going
moving.
on
Um, okay, so
down here in LaGrange, yeah.
you just said your favorite book of the last 2 years was nonfic. What was it?
So for the past 2 years consecutively, I've had two different so 2 years ago, American Kingpin by Nick Bilton. I
Oh,
love that book.
okay, yeah.
I think about it every day. And it's nonfiction. And then last year, I think my favorite book was probably The Anthropocene Reviewed, which is also nonfiction. So
Whoa,
those have been the two.
whoa,
Can you
that's
guys see me
cool.
now? Am I
Yeah,
back?
yeah, you're back,
Are we
Yeah.
bro.
back?
Welcome back.
I can't see Jesse now. Is he talking? Oh, wait, there
Yeah,
he is.
can
I
you
see
not
him.
hear me?
Yeah, I can see you now. All right, sorry.
God, dude, you're a train wreck. Get it together.
Dude, look.
All right, so we're back. Okay, so you said 3.5 out of 5, about a 6 out of 10, Caroline. Where you at, Loach?
3.5 times 2 really got me. I appreciated that a lot.
I love that answer.
So I gave it a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads, and I think I'd give it an 8. That's why I'm shocked you gave it below an 8. I'd give it right at an 8, I would say, because the story itself was good.
Yeah.
It was just short, dude. Honestly, it was so short. I feel like it just ended. Like,
Yeah.
when I was reading it on my Kindle, it was like I was only like 40-something%, and all of a sudden I was done. I didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So I was like expecting for it to be so much longer, and then all of a sudden I was done, and I was like, wait, what? But
Yeah.
I mean, the story itself, I liked it. I mean, I wasn't, it was just, it felt like I don't know if it. I don't know if Caroline's ever
If
read
I'm gonna start
Eric
doing like
Larson.
this, it's like not a 4.
I mean, that's the other thing. I'll like really think about my rating sometimes, and I'm like 4, because then I'll look at the other books that I've rated for, and I'm like, there's no way it was as good as that book. So I don't know. I hate the rating system. That's why I like doing that scale out of 10, because I'd give it a straight 8, I think, which is, I guess, technically a 4, but I would honestly like to give it a 3.5 if I could.
Yeah. I also feel like when I rate books, like kind of what you were saying, Caroline, when it's non-fic, I'm not rating it in the same way that I'm going to rate like an epic fantasy like Stormlight Archive or something, because I know I'm not getting the same thing out of it. I'm not going to get the same like, long-term 1,500-page investment and like a bunch of made-up fantastical things. It's just going to be like what happened, and what happened is not always as entertaining. So I'm more going for like the presentation of the story and like how well with what did happen you can keep like a reader engaged. And it was definitely slow starting. I mean, I feel pretty confident that I could go like run a ship at this point, because the first 80 pages were like just talking about what it's like to be on deck. And I was just like, good Lord.
Yeah.
And it sounded horrible.
It sounded literally so bad.
Yeah.
It sounded like nothing terrible. I've ever wanted ever in my life.
Yeah.
But I was kind of impressed with how he figured out the story, because I'm sure he had to do so much research about this minute like event in history So kind of, I guess like what you're saying kind of makes sense too, because it's like he had to go dig up this in some archives.
Yeah, I mean, I had never heard
So
of it before, and like in the intro when he's explaining it, because I didn't really know anything about the book, but when the when he's explaining the intro and he's kind of telling you briefly about like the first group that shows up, you're like, oh, okay, and then he says that another group shows up. I was like, oh, okay, so this is what's gonna make it like kind of wild. So I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, what are the odds, you know, in that time period? So I thought that was pretty sick.
honestly, I have no
I
idea what
really
you're talking
liked
about.
the beginning. I didn't struggle with a slow start. I thought I was really into it. I was invested. I liked I mean, I know it's the real world, but I like the world building of being on this ship.
Yeah,
And I kept waiting for it to escalate, but he just maintained that general
Yeah.
interest I had in it. I didn't
yeah,
want to stop reading it, but I kept waiting
yeah,
for it to build a little bit more. Um, and yeah, like it got there, but it took a while.
Sometimes in the nonfiction too, it's really tough to figure out what characters matter. So like, what character do I need to
Yeah.
remember? So this dude who's like a second lieutenant, do I need to remember him or not? And so luckily he did do a good job, I thought, of like re-saying their names like a ton. And
yeah,
it's like, okay, like, do I need to know this guy or not? Because essentially the only people you needed to know was Captain Cheap, obviously, who ends up being the Wager's captain, and then the John Buckley guy ends up kind of leading that mutiny or whatever. And then there's the other dude,
the young guy. What was
the
his name
young
again?
guy,
Byron.
Byron.
God,
See, I latched onto him because they
same.
had a Lord Byron reference. I misunderstood at the beginning and thought that Lord Byron was his grandfather. And I kept thinking, why? I thought Lord Byron was famous while he was alive. Why is this man
Who's Lord
Yeah,
Byron? Should I
like
know who that is?
what was it, midshipman
yeah,
or something?
midshipman. Yeah,
And yeah, and no. He later went on to
yeah,
have a grandson who became Lord
But
Byron.
who
yeah.
is Lord
But
Byron? Who is this? Should I know who that
he
is?
was like he was a poet during like
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Romanticism movement or
yeah.
something. Yeah.
He's like I
Okay.
feel like he's the person you hear about from like that era and that movement. Like he's like the big
Hmm.
historical figure.
I feel like he
So
was
yeah, I thought that
mentioned in
was
Dorian
cool.
Gray somehow.
Yeah, I did too. That's why I remember him. Yeah. A lot of the other names though, I was just hoping I didn't
Yeah,
like Buckley. I'm not gonna lie. He played a large role at the end, and
You didn't remember him?
I didn't latch onto him at the beginning.
Yeah.
It was one of those.
yeah,
He seemed
and
like the guy who had the most primary sources, probably, to fuel this.
Mm,
yeah, because he kept that like
mm.
meticulous logbook or whatever. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, which almost got him killed in the end,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is a
He's like
tragedy.
Yeah.
he's in here just incriminating himself on a nightly basis by the fire, and then when it hits the fan, he's like, "All right, here, not taking anything out, take it as it is." But that's a recurring theme with you, Loach. Like with names and who you need to remember. I feel like when you're reading a
Oh,
book,
dude, it's
there's a
bad.
finite number of characters that you can really lock down
Dude,
on.
even the main characters, I'm like, so that one that like did that thing. Like I just don't. It's so hard for me. I have autism,
That's
so
what's
like I
great
can
about a
only.
writer like Sanderson. Like
Oh,
it's like a building like avalanche of information so that like when you first meet a character you find stuff out about him, and then the next time he refers you to him he tells you what he already told you, and then the third time he tells you the first and second thing. You're like, oh yeah, that one.
oh
You
yeah.
need that.
Oh, I need that huge because I can tell you everything someone did, but their name is almost it's just gone. I can't. I'm bad with names.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
but it is what it is. So anyway. So what? We want to go through part one. Part one is Well, I don't even know if that's relevant. Not that it's not
well,
relevant.
just I
Do
mean,
you want to like say what the book's about? Maybe have we done
yeah, we
that?
probably
I don't know
should.
if we have. You
You
want
know
to do
what
that? Or
it's
you want
about,
me to do
Caroline?
it? Yeah. Pop quiz.
Mm-mm.
All right, you got it, Loach. You got it, Margot.
All right. So Britain is at war with Spain. And Spain, no, not Spain, sorry. Britain comes up with this secret mission that they give Anson, I think is his name. Anson, he's a commodore of a fleet, and he's given a mission to go steal gold from Spain that just happens to be across the globe in South America. So I don't know why that seemed like a great idea, which I guess in the end it works out, I guess. But they don't even steal gold from someone in South America. It's out in like the Philippines or something. But anyway, so that's the whole mission. Is there's this group of ships going out to, I guess, the coast of modern day Chile.
Chile.
Does that sound right? And
Something
so
like
they
that.
have to go on, like through the Strait of Magellan, like underneath. And we're in 1740. So.
Yeah.
You can't just hop, skip, and jump over to the coast of Chile. So the start of it is just like you were saying, Jesse, or Wayne and Caroline too, just the journey of, all right, we're getting these ships ready. What does that even mean? And all that. And so then it kind of introduced you to some people on the on the different ships and their jobs and their backgrounds and those sorts of things. And so anyway, then they essentially just take off, and it's all right at first, and then it just kind of starts to hit the fan, like once they start rounding the tip of South America, and then But anyway, so essentially, it's just this story of this mission and this captain who like has this undying like desire to complete this mission despite like all of these daggers that his crew is going through. So eventually, they get shipwrecked and all that, and they're just trying to survive. And he's like, "Nah, we got to finish the mission. We got to go kill all these Spaniards when we have like no one who's healthy." And so anyway, so it's just the rebellion of that, and then eventually somehow they all get back to England, which is a miracle to me. And then it's just the repercussions
not all
of
of
that. Well, yeah,
some
not
of
all
them.
Sorry,
a small percentage.
But dude, was it not shocking to you not to jump to the very end? But like, how do they all like so many of them survive?
So I thought the same thing. I thought, this is crazy that all of the main characters made it to the end, but it's literally because those are the people who survived and were able to tell their stories. I thought the same thing, though. I was like,
they have so much plot armor.
God, I wish we'd just kill these characters.
That's why probably like some of those random people just like kept popping up, like they made it too, you know?
Yeah.
No, you're not wrong. Oh my God.
Dude, that's so rough.
The one thing that really stuck out to me, I don't know if you want to do that next, but the thing that was like, oh my God, what an L. It's when they split the group. Anyway, they've already done whole Wager Island, whatever. Buckley revolts, has his group of men. They go do their thing. It seems like they're not going to make it. They end up making it, and they end up like kind of getting around, I guess, the
Cape Horn.
Strait of Magellan, Cape Horn, yeah. And they end up beaching somewhere, and like they actually find food essentially. And so 29 of them make it to Brazil, it says. But then they like stop to go eat food, and like some of them are so famished that when they eat, they died of it's something called refeeding syndrome.
Yeah.
And it's like, can you imagine surviving this whole time, and then you finally find food, and then you can't make yourself stop eating, so you eat too much, and then you die.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
It's just like those Nazi concentration camps, like Auschwitz and stuff. Like when Allied soldiers found those people, like some of them would eat too much and die. Like they would get found and basically liberated and then die like that same day because they overate and their stomachs were so small.
I mean, survive anti-Semitism and then die of, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's a tragedy.
God. That's rough.
Oh man, did anything
that
stick
part
out to
was
you guys?
crazy. The part that sticks out to me the most is the part that I already briefly mentioned, and that was that they're just going through it, like, and we're kind of jumping around, but whatever. They were like already on Wager Island. They're absolutely struggling. It looks like they're all about to die, but there's like 150 pages left. So like, what's about to happen?
Yeah.
And then this nomadic seafaring tribe just shows up in canoes with dogs, and they just start hopping in the water and like bare hand fishing, giving them food, like setting up houses and stuff and hanging out with them. And I was just like, wow, what a godsend. Yeah. These people that they can't talk to just show up and like feed and shelter them. And I saw it coming from a mile away. I was like, these freaking New World people are going to end up leaving. Like,
I think that's what that chapter
they're
going
to make them leave.
Nomads
yeah, you're right.
Of the sea.
Yeah. I just knew that they were going to do something, these white folk, and mess it up.
And then, yeah, dude, and wasn't it they were messing with their women or something?
Yeah.
They started messing with their women, and they're like, yo, all right, you can't do that. And then, because, dude, it was that one guy, I think it was Mitchell or something like that. It's one of the guys that basically, I mean, it has no chill, it seems like. He's just trying to I don't know. He's just trying to revolt. It seems like at all times. And
I mean,
they're
can
just
you
messing with their
imagine,
women.
bro? Like, you're about to starve, dude. You're stranded on an island, about to starve. You're thinking about cannibalism. Next thing you know, you get food, and you're just immediately already thinking about a sneaky link with people that like don't speak your language and just saved you. I cannot believe it, dude. I was like, man, there's just no stopping
The duality
boys.
of man,
Like,
dude. The duality of man. Oh my
it's
god.
ridiculous, dude. But yeah, that part stuck out to me. What about you, Caroline?
Just out of the whole book?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
a little memory.
Sure.
Did I dream this, or did celery cure like everyone?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
What was it, scabies or something?
Yeah.
And they didn't even know.
It was like,
they didn't even know that it cured
yeah, they were like,
I'll find it. I'm gonna look in the notes. I think she's right though. It was like a certain vitamin that they were lacking.
Yeah.
We can see you.
All they needed was some healthy food. They probably tried stuff like all that crazy they used to do, like friggin' leeching themselves and God knows what else.
Yeah, they were.
That's not what
savaging
stood out
themselves.
to me the most. I just wanted
You just
to
wanted to drop
confirm.
that. Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was. That was it. It was caused by vitamin D deficiency.
Can I stand up for 1 second and get my dog?
Yeah, of
Okay,
course.
give me a
For
second.
sure. We'll pause.
Thanks.
Picture over their fireplace is a TV.
No,
Have you
I
seen
don't.
those? Have you seen those TVs that are like picture frames? They're so
No.
cool looking. They look
No, I've not
exactly
seen
like
that.
that picture frame up there, but then they turn into a TV.
Oh,
I've
You
never
know what I'm
seen
talking
that.
about? I mean, they're hella expensive, but
yeah.
Sounds pretty sick.
Okay. I think what stood out to me the most was I kept waiting for this really riveting trial, and it was super
Yeah.
fast. It was so fast. I love court drama. I mean, I don't know what I thought, if anything, that would be the most documented
Right.
part of the story. So I don't know if it was, and he could just like take less narrative liberties with it, or what happened with the court martial there. But that really is the
Yeah,
first thing I think of every time. Again, we're skipping to the end, but it felt
it was like reminiscent
like
of like a thin blue line type of thing. They all got up there and just didn't like out the captain or anything for like the murder. Because it seemed to me that what I picked up from it was they all got the idea that like, oh, we're all not gonna like get anybody in trouble, and that way we're all gonna get off free. Like if I don't tell on you, you're not gonna tell on me, and we're all just gonna be able to like put this in the past. That's the gist that I got of it, is because like the Navy didn't want like, the PR nightmare of like the truth coming out. And so everybody just wanted like keep the status quo type of thing. That's kind of what I got as to why it happened so quickly.
And it kind of gets overshadowed too by Anson not really caring because they find that huge treasure, right? Because he doesn't even like question why they don't come to help him.
Yeah, because he didn't
Right?
need them. He absolutely daddied that ship
That's
once he
true.
found it.
And it was like a ridiculous amount of money that they got too, like
Yeah.
for that time. I wrote it down. 80 million.
Were Anson and Byron cousins?
I don't know. I don't remember that.
Did I dream that?
You didn't
No,
dream
you didn't.
celery, but you
It
might
was
have
in there
dreamed
with
that.
the celery. Okay. That, I feel like they were related, and I've just, again, wanted to ask that. But yeah, I think with the court thing, like, I would have felt more emotionally connected. And this is just history, so I can't fault the book.
Right.
But I would have felt more emotionally connected if they were trauma bonded to the captain and, like, through reverence or loyalty in some strange way,
Right.
wanted to, like, in solidarity stand
Right.
together. But it just felt like a weird energy. They just wanted to, I don't know, put their heads down and leave and get like move on, which is fine. But just for the climax of the book,
It was very
I agree.
anticlimactical for sure.
It just kind of ends.
but yeah, that's
I agree.
okay.
I feel like the moment I remember the most too is Cheap absolutely assassinating that Henry Cousins guy, which was wild. Because it's all over him, like, not rolling that cask of peas to the tent. He, like, tells him to do it, and he's like, no. I'm not gonna do that. And then he essentially claims that Cousins has been like stealing alcohol and he's hammered, and so he gets him detained. And then, Cousins then kind of doubles down and like essentially like curses him in public, which I guess is like a big thing. So Cheap has him beat. Anyway, and that whole story, dude, of him just hearing a gunshot, assuming it's Cousins, and then coming out and just no questions asked, just firing into his face.
Just shoots him right in the face.
Okay. But anyway.
And
I was about to say, unfortunately for him, it did not kill him.
Tragedy.
Yeah, that was bad.
Tragedy. But I mean, it was wild that they survived for so long. And I guess they had like a hierarchical structure, but I don't know. I'm just surprised it didn't break down into chaos faster. The fact that they're all bound by like some code that's back in England, like they had to, when they were there on that island, they had to feel like they were so far away from England. Like they had to think they're never getting back. So it's just wild to me to think that all these guys together are like maybe talking about Cheap behind his back, but it took so long for someone to actually do something about it. You know what I mean? All over like the thought of, oh, well, if we do get back, I'm going to be in trouble or something. I don't know. I just couldn't, I don't know enough about that time for me to like buy that. You know what I mean? It almost seems like, how did all of them not revolt earlier?
Yeah. Well, I think they had talked some in the book about how like there was like a question as to in what scenario like you're no longer bound to like the laws and regulations of the Navy. And then like, towards the end of the book with the court thing, I think that's one of the things that they said, like that they deemed like certain things were acceptable because of the shipwreck and because of the scenario. Like they technically weren't like bound to like their mission and following orders type of thing. So
yeah,
I don't know how much that really stands up, if it was just part of them trying to shove it under the rug. But I know when they were on the island that was something that was referenced either by like Byron or somebody. And I'm sure Cheap mentioned it as well. Like, yo, I'm still the boss, obviously. But yeah.
It's interesting how quick they were, though, to just reconstruct those societal norms or what was normal to them, because usually in survival stories or anything on an island isolated, it does just descend into chaos so quickly. I don't want to say the book was mismarketed, but I thought it was going to get, not that it didn't, I thought it was going to get way wilder.
One death was not
like,
enough
very
for
quickly.
Caroline.
It was
We
not.
needed multiple. I mean, well, it's probably because they were all so weak. That's also another thing. I mean, I feel like they were all on the brink
That's
of
a good
death.
point.
So I can't believe, I guess, how many of them survived. I don't know, especially with what they had to eat and stuff. I don't know. I also just wish that there would have been more about like when they do meet the natives and they live with them for a while, like what happened. I guess like nothing that interesting happened, especially with Cheap and his little small crew, like and how they kind of get rescued. It's just kind of like a paragraph. And it's like, well, did something interesting happen there? Because surely.
Byron like got a dog out of it. I think.
Yeah, and see, that's the part I was just about to bring up.
Shortly.
Like, that was so tough.
Oh,
like,
them killing his dog?
That was the worst.
It was the worst part.
That was half of my notes.
It was terrible.
Was about the dog. That was one of the, and then it kept circling back. Like it was just another low blow of the author Grann saying, yeah, Byron's notes didn't even continue because he must have been so upset about his dog. And then later didn't he have to eat the dog? I mean, that was
like the
horrible.
dog bonds to Byron.
That was like the worst.
And then eventually people like come to his tent and they're like, yo, we don't have food. Like the dog's got to go. And Byron finally, I think he like held him off for a little bit, but then finally kind of gave into it. And then he literally says he heard like a yelp outside and then it stopped. Next thing you know, he's coming outside to the roasted fire pit.
I feel like that was so unnecessary for him to add that in there.
Yeah.
Really? That was okay. I hated it, but I felt something there.
I did too, for sure. No doubt.
I felt nothing there personally, but I understand why you guys felt something there.
Dude, I hate you. What about the part where like the ship wrecks, right? And then it's like kind of like caught in some rocks for a while before it fully sinks. And that like Misfits crew,
They're like, we're just going to stay on this
They
ship
just stay out there, dude.
and
like,
die.
In the waves, rammed up against the rocks, getting hammered. I was just like, dude, talk about absolutely no will to live.
They were drinking. They were, yeah. I forgot about that part.
There's an island like 30 yards away, and you're just going to stay out here on a sinking ship and get drunk. I was like, that is wild. And then they ended up coming back. Once it starts really sinking, they're like, oh, this is for real.
Dude, I don't know why. The other part that shocked me, did you notice how like many of them couldn't swim?
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
That was a big thing. Like,
I'm
back
like,
in
bro,
the day.
you guys are. I mean, can you imagine, dude? So when I was in Greece, we went on this ferry ride from one island to another, and it was the worst experience of my life. Like, the waters were just so treacherous. I just can't imagine what it would actually be like to be going through those storms like what they had. And then on top of that, which I guess it wouldn't matter if the storms, like if the waves and wind and all that's that high. I mean, if you can swim, is that even gonna matter? Because you're probably getting slung underneath anyway. But I can
imagine. Swim, and I wouldn't have survived that, dude. When I went snorkeling in the Bahamas, I lasted about 30 seconds before I was like screaming for a life vest to be thrown to me from the guy on the boat, because the waters weren't even that, dude. Crystal clear waters, barely even choppy, and I was about to drown. So like,
I can't watch a movie where the camera is not on like a stable, like if it's shoulder cam, shaky cam, like I'll start throwing up. Like,
so you
I
don't
would
like that
not
like
make it
Paranormal
2
Activity
minutes.
type stuff?
Paranormal Activity has a lot of
I guess it's more like the rotation cameras.
like Blair Witch or Cloverfield or anything. It doesn't even have to be like that. It could just be mild.
Yeah.
I can't. I'll get sick.
Oh, because you can't read in a car either, can you?
Oh, I can't do that.
Right.
I'll get so sick.
Wow.
I get really sick too.
You guys need to figure that out. Honestly.
If I look down at my phone for more than 20 seconds while I'm riding in the car, I feel sick.
Y'all need that software update.
Yeah.
I mean, we need Dramamine everywhere we go, dude. It's a struggle.
I've got those equilibrium stabilizer glasses.
I
remember those. No, have you seen what they look like, Jesse?
No.
They look ridiculous. They look ridiculous. Anyway,
they work for a second. Yeah.
Might have to try that out.
Exactly.
So yeah, we definitely wouldn't have made it then. And that brings me to the beginning. Like, that it's one thing to be on the choppy seas, but that whole first part that like was kind of slow. But like you said, Caroline, it does keep you like invested and whatnot. But when they're just talking about life on the boat, I was like, there's gotta, like, this has to be like last ditch effort to like make money in this world, because this sounds absolutely terrible. You're only doing this if you have no other options. It sounds like you're getting sick, you're in the water, like the food's gross, there's rats everywhere, you're cold, you're wet, obviously, and if you're a midshipman like Byron, you have to get like 200 feet in the air and almost smack the water as the ship is going back and forth. I was like, what is this?
That was the other thing.
We were not ready for the ocean yet. Like, why were they doing this?
They were like making people go up there to adjust the sails as they're in these high storms, and there was the one part where that dude falls and just slams into the deck and dies. I'm like, oh my God.
I forgot about that. That was also bad.
Yeah, that was horrible. I think he was a small child too. I think he was honestly.
Like, if I was on that ship, if I had to pick who to be, I want to be that guy. I want to be the guy that just smacked into the deck of the ship and didn't go through anything else.
Didn't they work on it for like 2 years before they even went anywhere?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Thing broke, first storm just starts breaking to pieces. Like, I was like, oh my God. They need to sue whoever made this thing.
Oh, I mean, no chance. 1780 going across the high seas? No chance. No chance. I mean, I wouldn't do it now. Literally now. In just an aircraft carrier. Like, much less a wooden ship.
Oh, dude. Yeah. That is the thing that's crazy, though, and was unexpected for me. I was thinking, okay, this book picks up when the ship wrecks. And, like, it did to a degree. But things get bad for people way before that. Like, the entire crew of like 7 ships is all getting like whatever they were.
Oh yeah, they had scurvy or whatever. Like 60% of them died.
And who knows what else? Like, it was just terrible, dude.
Typhus.
Yeah, they were just dropping bodies. They lost like over half of the like force of people they had before they even got shipwrecked. I was like, this is a horrible life. Horrible. Couldn't be me.
I wonder what they got paid. Like the people who did survive, surely it was not enough.
Like, did they?
I don't think they did. I think it was if we make it, you'll get paid.
That's That's a win. Yeah. I don't.
Yeah, they need it. But I will say I do kind of understand like the draw for the people who do survive, and it's like, dude, you don't get it. My life is out there. What's that one song? It's in the Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's in the second one, dude. I know you know, Jesse. So don't
Dude,
even
you
look
think
at me
I
like
know
that.
a song from the
Dude.
second Guardians of the
I've
Galaxy?
seen it. I've
You
seen
know,
it.
it's like
seen
the
the
Man of the
movie.
Sea or something like that. It's like, oh, I love you.
Elaborate some
It's
more.
a song that
What?
basically
Kind of sing it a little bit.
Yeah.
Dude, I wish I could. I wish I could remember it specifically off the top of my head. I'm gonna look it up. Essentially, it's about this guy who loves this girl, but he can't stay because his life is out on the sea, and he has to be out. Like his true love. It's something about
The Longer the Waiting by Josh Turner.
I think that's it. Honestly,
It's not.
No, I know
It's not that.
I know it's not. Lady. Anyway, this is a bad segment already, but I'm just saying. I can see the draw of why these certain men who somehow survive and then do it again and survive and then do it again and survive. It's like they don't feel normal when their life is just normal. Like when you're on land and you have everything provided for you so easily. In a weird way, I can see where you're like really like feeling life because you're on the brink of death at any moment. So it's like
I could see it.
That's
dude,
hard to replicate back on land.
If I'm me, dude, and you thrust me in this situation, I'm for sure not assuming that I'm one of the guys making it home. So I'm not going. No. Like, you got to really think you like are something special to go, yeah, I'm one of the guys that's going to make it back from this trip across the planet in like the worst season to do this in. Like, I'm not that guy, dude. I'm not going.
I mean, talk about digging deep, dude. I mean, I almost ended my life a couple days ago, and I have way more going for me than these other guys. So, I mean, yeah, dude, it would have been a wrap.
Shut up. I hate you, dude.
I mean,
oh my god,
it was just a random Thursday, and I'm like, wow, gas is pretty expensive these days.
I might just to my ankles day one, bro. Drop me into the sea. Where's the plank at, Cap?
Dude, you would want to die that way, bricks from the ankle.
Dude, before I get scurvy and have to sleep with rats, yeah, dude. For sure.
Can you imagine waking up to a rat just biting off the loose flesh of your body?
No, dude. That's straight out of a nightmare.
No. Yeah. Who do you think would survive the longest between the three of us?
Probably Caroline.
Yeah, probably Caroline, yeah.
I feel like I could just do it.
You just want it more.
I feel like you could, honestly.
Yeah.
She would have been Buckley.
I would be sick.
You get sick pretty easily?
Well, on the sea, yeah.
Okay. You don't have your sea legs. That's the other thing. It's like, how long does it take one to get their sea legs? Because I don't know if
I don't have my car legs.
Oh, yeah, that's facts.
Yeah,
you guys would be in the worst shape possible. Bro. Yeah.
If that wasn't on the table, though, I'd be fine.
I mean, honestly, to any 21st century
the whole aspect
Americans
of disease wasn't on the table, I'd be fine.
Like, what even are sea legs? I don't
know. I've just heard people talk about them, but dude, I mean, I was I don't know how long it takes for you to get those. Because when I was on that ferry ride, I don't think it was supposed to be that bad. Because when we were on there, I mean, everybody, like, they started handing out baggies to throw up in. I'm like, oh no, this is not good. And then you just hear, like all around. It was bad, dude. It was bad.
I mean, the one reference I would have in my life is when I went deep sea fishing when I was like 14 years old on a family vacation trip with a couple other families. We went deep sea fishing. We were on the ocean for like 6 hours, and I didn't stop throwing up until I stepped on the dock. I mean, it was bad, dude. I was throwing up the whole time. So
were you dry heaving afterwards too? That's the worst.
Yeah.
When you're trying to throw up and you got nothing left in you, and your body is still like just.
Bro, and imagine how fresh. I mean, my situation sucks, but I made it suck for everyone that was on this trip because when I started throwing up, dude, I was just so like, no sea legs, nothing. Dude, I threw up into the fish thing, into the thing where they're into the cooler they were putting all the fish they had caught in. Because I
thought you were going to say my situation sucked, but they had it so much worse in the 1700s on the way there. The ships, like, y'all are equating this to like the deep sea fishing and the vacation.
My pains are just as bad.
Honestly, I know their pain.
I am pain.
And I
you can have my pain.
Yeah, honestly, I think what I went through was worse. Oh, that's funny. But
at
yeah,
the
it
end of
sounds
the
like a
day,
horrible
we know
life.
how life's actually supposed to be lived, and they didn't. So honestly, when you really think about it, I mean, we have iPhones. So, and then I had to be lost on the seas for a little bit. Come on. I have way more to lose than they did.
You know what's crazy that I was thinking about is I was like, okay, so like it's, you know, the 21st century now, like we'd be way better off. But if you end up in that situation, we'd be worse off. Like if we're stuck on an island, dude, like even nowadays, bro, if there aren't people and ships and there's no cell towers, bro, do you think the three of us are putting together a makeshift raft from our ship that sank and making it to Brazil? 0% chance, dude.
I mean, Caroline can't even eat gluten. So how are we going to survive?
We're done.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, but I mean, if they don't have Taco Bell on the coast of Chile, I mean, yeah, it's going to be a problem.
Bro, where's the Baja Blast at?
I need 2 cheesy gorditas ASAP. I mean, yeah, I can't imagine scraping. What were they doing? Like scraping seaweed onto. I mean, what does that do to your digestive system?
Maybe they just thought like, wow, does this happen sometimes? They didn't have social media.
That's true.
They just had people who didn't. Maybe they had family that went off on voyages and
just crashed.
That is true.
This is really bad.
They're like, dang, this is that part of my life where I get shipwrecked.
This is part of the human experience. Yeah, but
that's
like Andrew said. I mean, we know that's like not good.
Right.
That's true.
That's a good point.
This is their social media. If they do make it back, then they're gods. So it's like the clout. Honestly,
that's why they were all writing their own books.
Yeah,
that's a good point. That's a very good point.
I honestly do think it is, especially relating it back to Treasure Island when they were writing about that, like that freaking, what's his name? The boy. You should know, Jesse. You're good with names.
Oh.
Come on, man. Anyway, he's like all about, like, I want to just go and have adventure. It's all about the adventure. Because back home's boring. And I wonder if that's how it was real back then. If it was just like, I don't care if I die. I just want adventure. But I don't know. It sounds horrible. And I don't know how they got literally over 2,000 people to sign up to do this.
Well, they didn't. Remember, part of the beginning of the book, they talk about they would just they'd kidnap people. Be like, you're a sailor now. We're going to get gold from a ship.
Which that is a factor that led to the War of 1812, which I feel like you probably have read some about.
Yeah, a little bit.
That British impressment. But that was also that was on American colonists. So I wonder, were any of them? No, I don't think they were. There was a guy who was a free black man who then gets enslaved in South America, right? Which is a tragedy. I don't know what he was thinking, first of all, because he had it good. Why did he have to roll the dice again to see if, you know what I mean? That just seemed like a risk that he should not have taken.
I don't know, man.
Because surely everywhere else in the world I don't know. That seems like a bad call.
I mean, it seems like a bad call for all of them, but I get what you're saying. Him especially.
Let's go to South America where slavery is rampant. I mean, I don't know if that's
bad call. Bad call.
But
did they know?
True.
We know.
You know what? You're right.
I mean, that's a good point.
Did they know?
Hitting us with the perspective
know?
again. That's a good point.
Man, I love you and your worldviews. Because, man, I'd like to just think about it from a 21st century perspective. But that is, I guess, true. Maybe they don't know. I mean, especially because most of them couldn't even read. I feel like there were only a couple that could read and write.
What a tragedy.
Yeah, they were the main character.
Yeah, and one of them's going to be Leonardo DiCaprio here soon. So I wonder.
I wonder who Jonah Hill is going to
be. Oh man, I hope. You think they'll throw in? I almost said something risque. Sorry.
Bro, you better stop.
No, I know.
Is there anything else we're leaving out about the book that was like an interesting thing that occurred? I'm trying to think. Have either one of y'all referred to your notes? I've got.
Yeah, I'm looking on the list. No. See this over here? See that full screen right there?
I was gonna go pull them up, but I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, it's not worth it. We've got it all up in our head, Tom. Andrew's the one that needs notes.
The ear war. I remember that was like the first thing I took a note of because I thought that's really
the Jenkins ear.
The ear war that it started from.
Jenkins ear.
Yeah, wasn't it Jenkins?
We don't.
It was Jenkins. Yeah, he claimed that they took his ear off. The Spanish did, but they really didn't. Yeah. And it was just a false claim for the British to.
But it started a whole thing. Yeah.
Yep. Good old history. Got to know it, honestly. Got to know it.
Doomed to repeat it.
Doomed to repeat it. So, Caroline, how quickly... Wait, how quickly do you think you're going to read another nonfiction like this?
Like soon wise?
Yeah, like
What
did
do you
this
mean?
spark like an interest for you to really just dive deep into some nonfiction?
Not this. I think I've realized I like a more specific and recent or current type of
You look like
nonfiction.
modern crime, huh? Right?
I like anything, I don't know. I like tech
Hmm.
stuff, tech or company, like how people started, like anything with Bitcoin.
Huh.
Let's
Interesting.
go.
Good old Bitcoin.
I'm not super knowledgeable in any of that, but
Well, I mean, American
I'll read
Kingpin
about it.
was a great book.
Yeah, that's what started it for me. And now, in my mind, any book I see, okay, here's my problem
You
a
were
little bit with
comparing
The
it to that
Wager.
book, huh? Like the pacing of it? Oh, okay.
No, no. I was what I was doing was I don't know anything about tech. I couldn't even get my mic to work for the laptop, okay? I don't know anything. And when I was reading American Kingpin, I felt like a wizard. I thought I just understood all this stuff. And that's something so foreign to me. And then I feel like there are a few other favorites I have that are nonfiction where I'm not at all aware of the subject, but it comes easily. I didn't think just like being shipwrecked or being on a ship was gonna be feel so unnatural, and I struggled
I think
Hmm.
you would like
reading
Eric
the book.
Larson, honestly.
Yeah, I've tried. No, I've tried that one. The Devil in the White City, I think starts out on a boat.
Hmm. Great book.
So
Um,
Jesse's been telling me to
I
read that
think
one
I
for a
would
while.
too.
Have you read that one? Have you
No,
tried to read it or no?
I mean, I
You know what
started
you
it,
should read
first
that I
couple
bet you would
pages.
like? It's not tech necessarily, but
What?
there's a book called Red Notice by Bill Browder. Um, and
Okay.
it's written, the guy that wrote it, it's about him. And essentially, he's like
Mhm.
the first like investor to get in on like Russian company stocks and stuff like that right after the Soviet Union falls. And then there ends up being like this crazy
Mhm.
story, like people end up getting killed.
Was that a movie
No,
or no?
there is a movie called
Okay.
Red Notice, but it's not that. Um, Same title,
Okay.
different story.
That sounds really
Yeah, you'd probably
interesting.
like that just based
Okay.
off what you said. It's it's totally different. I don't know
Is it
anything about
espionage?
like stocks. No, dude, he's just an investor, dude. And because like I mean Putin's involved to a degree, and he has another book where Putin's involved even more, but um it's just about like how once he starts investing and gets involved with like oligarchs and all these different people, like shit just starts going down. And it's really cool because you get a lot of his like I mean, he's a stockbroker, hedge fund manager, that type. So he has a lot of
Mm-hmm.
knowledge just about that whole investment world. So you're getting a lot of that, but then you're also getting this real story that's fairly recent history. I mean, it happened after the fall of the Soviet Union. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. You should check it out. Red Notice. He has a follow up.
Yeah,
I
no,
forget what
thank
it's
you.
called, but I haven't read it.
I'll look into Red Notice. That does sound good.
And while we're
Thanks.
on different books, you talked about American Kingpin, or was it American Kingpin? Yeah. What was the other book
Hmm.
you mentioned? Nonfiction.
Oh, yes, it was the Anthropocene Reviewed
I mean,
by
spell that
John
first
Green.
What
word you
even
just
is that
said.
word?
Anthropocene, Anthropocene, I
So
think.
what does that
Like
mean?
it's like anything that exists worldly.
Is it like a
I
word
think
derived
that's the
from
definition.
anthropology? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It's like worldly like so it could be anything and just he the author just picks random things or topics and decides to review them on a 5-star scale. So part of the book is him kind of critiquing review culture itself of isn't it so silly to put a 5-star rating on something like a sunset, but then he also gets to talk about why he is or is not passionate about sunsets and something that's like a story from his past that makes him feel that way and it connects you to the author, but then he pulls science into it too. And but I mean he could do anything from like a teddy bear to
Interesting.
I don't know, just anything that exists. So I really like that, but I mean I'm not an expert on a lot of the stuff he talked about, but I felt like I understood it
Yeah.
while I was reading it. I loved that one
Yeah.
last year.
Well, and I get what you're saying too about I feel like that's what I I mean, the more I read history, the more I learn, I guess. But I feel like I'm always trying to read stuff that I don't know anything about. So I feel like I'm always a novice, like dummy about pretty much anything I'm reading about.
I felt so dumb reading this book.
Yeah.
I could not. I mean, it got better. I liked the beginning, but I was struggling, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't believe that for a second, though.
I was. Why?
I just
Why don't you
don't.
believe
I
that?
don't know. I've just seen some of the things you've read, and I'm like, I don't know how. Like when you're talking about the House of Leaves, is that what it's called?
No, these people, yeah, there was like 3 characters in House of Leaves. They had like 3 different names. There's 3
Okay, so
people.
if you're talking
More
about
than
just
that, maybe like
retaining
4.
characters, I like understand what you're saying, but like they didn't matter. Like some of these people didn't matter.
They did. I didn't know that. They were talking about like they'd be on a ship and then they'd get on a different people would be on a different ship somewhere else. And I was like, wait, were they with those people originally? Were they part
Yeah.
of the ones that left? And then like where they were was always a mystery to me unless they were on the island. If they were on the water, they were just on the water. That was just all
Did
the
you look at
same
any of the
to me. It
maps?
didn't matter which. No, I didn't look at maps. No. Why would, that's hard. I don't. Mm-mm. Did y'all look at the
No, I mean,
maps?
I
A
like
little bit.
maps, yeah. But
I didn't refer to a single
did
map.
you have the physical copy or did you
But
read it on your Kindle?
yeah, I did. No, I have the physical copy. I got the audiobook too. That was worse because then I couldn't even flip around to
Yeah.
see who people
Audio's
were. So I
tough
went
for
back to the
nonfiction,
it.
which I do a
Yeah,
lot of nonfiction
yeah.
audio. And yeah, I mean, I would say when I read nonfiction, and if I haven't read about the subject before, so like Jesse and I are reading a book on Napoleon. So like my knowledge on late 1700s France and the political like people that were involved then is so minute. So it's like in one ear out the other. So if I'm reading it, it's probably like a 40% retention, and then when I'm listening to it, it's probably like 25%. So if I'm not taking notes with it,
Really.
I mean, I'll get big pieces, but that's what's tough about nonfiction. And like Jesse, you can probably attest to this too. Like every person's name isn't important. They're just citing the knowledge just so that they're not like seen as like a fraud in the history world.
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, it's just for you to kind of go back and reference, because reading nonfiction is a lot different than reading fiction was. I mean, Jesse can definitely attest to this because you read way more than I have. But yeah, when I'm reading, I'm not trying to just remember everybody's names. It's almost like if you read a book on, like this book would help you open up if you, for some reason, read a book about Britain and Spain during the late 1700s and like the wars that they had. Now you'd have more perspective to draw from, and so it's almost like a building blocks game of like the more you read about a certain topic, the more you have to draw from. So like when you're at like level 1 reading something, yeah, it's so much harder.
Yeah.
I mean, so much. Wouldn't you say the same, Jesse?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And dude, my voice sounds so ridiculous. I'm so
Kinda
ill
sound
right now.
hot, dude. If I close my eyes, I'm like, say
No, I would
something.
agree though. Like a book like Napoleon, like these 30, 35 page fat, like small margin, tiny word chapters that where there's like 85 different names of people who like, he's naming everybody from his aide that did one thing, like to, the King of England or whatever. But I feel like when you're reading those kind of books, it's like you read a whole chapter, but you really only get like in your mind like 2, 3, 4 sentences worth of like overarching information
That matters.
that you'll get from it. Like when I'm taking notes on Napoleon right now, there's usually just 1 or 2 lines from each chapter, even though I just read, for an hour or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, Josephine was important in his life, played a crucial role.
Yeah.
Type of thing. And then Italy was where he's going to first like make his name for himself. I mean, can I name the battles of like the bridge that he overtook and like played, it's like, no, I can't. But
well,
anyway.
especially when it's, that's the thing about history too, especially when you're reading about France or Italy, all the words like for the names of places, the names of people, they're names that are derived from another language. So they're not even natural for you to remember. So they don't like latch on in your mind. So like, it's just, you take overarching ideas and that's about it for me.
I think that's me with the tech. That's why it comes like, that's better for me because if I don't know it, I'll just keep reading and then I realize that it didn't matter anyway.
Right.
I understand the idea.
Right. Yeah. You're getting the idea.
But then when I see like first and last names, I'm thinking, who are they?
See, it's wild though, because you really like Battle Royale, don't you?
That's different.
Because there's so many names in that book, and they're all Asian.
Yeah,
so
but
I didn't remember any
listed.
of them. That is true. Like if you were to go back,
they're listed. Yeah, and so if you just kind of dog ear that page, it tells you like who died or how many are still alive at the end of it. Like, I thought that is a good point, but that feels different.
I mean,
to
it
me.
is different.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got a
just
glossary
because
to go
too,
to,
like, and it's not just that. Like, they'll have whole chapters that are just about two people, and you might have met them at the beginning, but if you don't necessarily remember exactly who they are, as long as you remember like 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah, I mean, and you did get a pretty clear picture of who the main characters were. But
yeah, for sure.
I mean, you would not hate. I would love for you to one day read the Stormlight Archive.
I knew you were going to say something like that. Yeah.
I mean, I
don't.
She doesn't like it. All right, I get it. It's fine. What's your perfect book? And like, so what's your top 3 right now? Is A Little Life up there?
On the spot.
It doesn't have to be an outright top 3. You just give me 3 books that are like, those are memorable. All right, or one. Any book, anything. Give us something.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out what your genre is. Like, if you had to pick, like, this is my genre. Like, for me, grimdark fantasy, I could read that all day, every day.
I don't even know. I was going to say psychological thrillers, but I feel like it's evolved from that into either psychological horror or literary, like suspenseful literary fiction. It's gotten boring. I've gotten more into just...
So there's just not good stuff out there? Or you've already read the good stuff?
I think my taste has just evolved into, I'm not looking for as much, not adventure, but I just am enjoying more. I'm reading a lot of law drama books right now.
Like more nuanced kind of like topics?
Yeah, I always like
Mr. Bean goes to San Francisco?
Not too on the nose.
Is that what it is? Mr. Bean goes to somewhere? Is that what it's called?
Mr. Monk. That's not the same. Just don't even...
Look, I'm just trying to, connect dots here.
Those are cozy mysteries that are comforting.
But you like mysteries. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I like mysteries. And I used to really like, I would have just said I love locked door thrillers where isolated setting, we've got 8 people and they start dying and someone's obviously the killer. But I feel like you read so many of those and then there's only so many ways. It's wild
because have you read anything like that, Jesse? I've literally read nothing like that before.
No.
Wait,
and I think I would enjoy that.
Give us a good rec. What's like the best?
That's why I was thinking you were going to recommend us and that we were going to read together with something that you could really just go deep into. You know what I mean? We got to do this again. You got to pick something that you...
Yeah, well, I've read them. I would reread something, though. I mean, I think No Exit is one of the best. Have y'all heard of No Exit by Taylor Adams? It's not necessarily locked door, but it's isolated, snowy setting, a girl on her way home.
Wait, it's a girl main character?
From college. Yeah, is that a deal breaker? So she's on her way home from college for like winter break or Thanksgiving break, and her windshield wiper breaks, and she pulls over at a rest area and gets snowed in there. And so then she sees something that she like shouldn't have seen in one of the vans and that are parked in the parking lot. And she goes back inside and you're like, okay, there's like 6 people here. It's someone's van. So that one's probably my favorite.
We'll have to read No Exit.
It's it's like got cliches and it's got so many moments of I wouldn't have done it that way, or why would she do that? That's the problem with that specific genre, is you can poke a lot of holes in it, but just if you just want to read for fun, that's my favorite.
Do you like any of Stephen King stuff?
Yeah.
What's what?
Which one?
I heard he writes books.
I
like what? Do you like The Shining? Like, what do you like? What's a Stephen King?
Yeah, I like The Shining. I like it. I mean, I went... It was one of my special interests for like a year. So I have a special place in my heart for it. I tabbed it up.
Ah, okay.
I like anything that shines light on like a horror book that uses supernatural devices to draw or shed light on real world or everyday horrors.
That's pretty cool.
Okay.
Anything like that. And Stephen King does that. I mean, he does that a lot, but I feel like it is a really good example of using those metaphors.
Yeah, keep going. Sorry. No.
What?
Keep going.
No, I was done.
Have you ever heard of Piercing the Darkness or This Present Darkness? Is that what it's called? You know what I'm talking about, Jesse?
Mm-mm.
It's by Frank Peretti. Wait, let me make sure I'm saying This Present. So it's a I don't know if you'd like it, but maybe. It's got 105,000 ratings on Goodreads, 4.23. Anyway, it's like what you're saying. It's a psychological like horror, but it's religious for sure. So it's like an angels and demons like take on certain things. So it's definitely like highly religious themes, but it's a very interesting take on like spirituality and how that could potentially like be impacting just just bad things that are happening, like killings and then like depression, anxiety, like suicide. So it's pretty interesting. So it like goes back and forth. It's almost like a Screw Tape Letters by C.S. Lewis kind of vibe, but way more like drawn out with world building and whatnot. So anyway, there's two of them. The second one's not as good in my opinion, but anyway, it's one that is definitely, if you like well, I guess you're saying more supernatural. I'm thinking more like, is that the same thing?
No, it
like
doesn't
angels,
have to be.
demons type of supernatural, or like just in general, like ghosts?
Well, just anything. I mean, for something in the horror genre to be defined as horror, it has to fall under certain. So I'm just saying, like, it either has to be supernatural or it has to be, slasher, gore. They're just different subgenres of horror that can categorize something to be. So I think a lot of people use something supernatural to mask the actual conversation of what's scary about the book,
I think
whether
Caroline
it's
knows a lot more
gentrification or like something
like childhood trauma and stuff like from it. So since you tabbed that up, what did you think about the movies?
I love the movies.
Yeah, I liked them.
The book. Have either of y'all read the book?
I have it, but I haven't read it.
The book is different. It alternates the entire time between the child perspectives and the adult perspectives. So it's really interesting because some of the children you'll get attached to, and then you might not like their adult storylines as much. It feels very real and very the characters feel flawed and layered because you're seeing them as kids and you're rooting for them doing certain things, but then you see them as adults and you hate them or you don't. I mean, so I liked that way of storytelling a lot more, but I love the movies because they couldn't have, that budget would have been insane if they tried to split it up like that, and I think it would have been more confusing. I love those movies.
What about The Stand? Have you read that one?
No. No.
I've heard that's arguably his best.
It's long. I know, and it's long too, but The Stand got spoiled for me a long time ago, and I don't know if I'm not going to say anything, but once it gets spoiled, it'll change the way you like read it. So
it's no bueno.
I just
stay away
apparently
from spoilers
don't. That's what those Tudor Ramble guys said.
What?
That spoilers don't ruin storylines somehow. Remember when they made a video about that? Did I tell you about that?
Yeah, I mean that's a objective opinion. I feel like, but it just depends. I mean, the reveals definitely, any kind of twist or like ending is definitely an important part to a book. So I can see how it would like ruin the experience for someone.
I love that feeling where my heart stops.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that's why I read a lot of. That's why I like the genres that I choose to read because I want to be shocked.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And I'm not saying there wouldn't be like smaller twists or I don't know the story as a whole. Like I would be surprised at literally anything that happened because I don't know that much about the book, but I would feel sad knowing that I know something I'm not
That's
supposed to
why
know.
if you could get into the Stormlight, like I know it's guised under a different. I've never had. Tell me I'm wrong though.
I'm listening.
I have
I'm
never
listening.
been more shocked in my life of some of the things that have occurred. I have literally been like,
what's the first book in
The
that
The
book?
Way of Kings.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, it's a hell of an investment. I mean, just because the books are so long, but
it requires hella investiture.
Investiture. If you can get just to the second book, I mean, the moment in the second book with Shalon Jesse, I was like,
I mean, if you can just get through
God.
3,000 pages, you'll be in.
There's so many other things that happen too. But anyway, I mean, I don't think fantasy's for you though. So that's why I feel, because you didn't even like the Green Bone Saga, and that broke my heart.
Yes, I did. I didn't like the Poppy War as
Wait, you read the
much
Poppy
as
War?
you did.
Did we read that together?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. I don't really remember it that well
that book
either.
was dark. That book was very dark. I've read the second one and I still didn't finish the third one.
I was gonna say, I think you kept going.
It was a while before I read the second one, I will say, and it was all right. But yeah, Jesse, I've been trying to convince. Eventually, he will. We do have so many things that we're like trying to figure out, like what's most important. Which eventually we need to pick your brain on that too, just because we have no idea what we're doing. Like we're literally just reading stuff and then talking about it, and then as you can see, like we don't have like an outline. We just start talking, and then we post it. And
half the books that I've like read and reviewed on here, I'll go on there and be like, yeah, so this has 725 ratings on Goodreads. Nobody's ever read it, but I loved it. Let's talk about it.
That's really how I started.
Really?
We can talk about it later, but yeah, I feel like there's an audience for that. People don't want, especially people who consume a lot of YouTube content, don't want the same.
True.
Even if it's 100 books, they don't want the same 100 books shoved in their face.
That is true.
That's a good point. Appreciate
some
that.
outliers. That is why I think I did like we had one random like we don't ever get any engagement unless if it's like from like I taught the past couple of years, so some of my former 8th graders found my channel and it's been cancer. But we had someone comment and told us to read a book called Book to Die, and it was a mystery. I feel like it's probably like similar to a lot of books that you've read, and it was the first time I'd ever read a detective murder mystery book, and it was about books. That's what was so cool about it. It was about a guy who is a detective trying to figure out this guy who got killed, who was like a book scout, like and looking for rare books. And so that's kind of like the underlying theme is like rare books and like learning about those rare books, which I didn't know anything about, and like how much money you can make off of first editions of, you know, all these different authors. So anyway, it was just really cool. And so we reviewed it, and because the guy commented and told us to review it, and you know, that book didn't, I mean, I guess it probably had some reviews, right, Jesse? I can't really remember how popular it was on Goodreads. I think it was more than 700.
This guy was the author. He just wanted to.
No, it's like a series. It was like 6 different books. But anyway, I mean, that was fun. I liked doing that. So it was a more niche book, like you're saying. Well, maybe it's not even niche. I'm probably saying that, and it's probably huge in different communities, but I had never heard of it.
But it can be like something that's not, a book can be huge. Like I feel like I started reading like My Sister's Keeper last year, and I mentioned it in a video, and people were acting like, oh, yes, I love this book, and no one ever talks about it. And I thought that was like one of the most popular books in the world, but it's just not one of the booktube books that gets circulated around in videos. Like you know, so it's just all about.
Then
I don't know. It's not. I when I was doing videos weekly or a few times a month, I was consuming so much content of similar creators and trying to make sure that I knew what everyone was reading, but also trying to get away from that a little bit.
That makes sense.
We don't really consume a lot of booktube, honestly. I
really?
do, but it's it's only the stuff that I read. So like I'll watch a booktube video based off of like I'll read a Stormlight book, and then I'll want to hear what someone else has to say about their thoughts on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like rarely looking. I used to, but now that I like have a pretty good thumb on what the most popular fantasy series are, like of all time, consider like, you know, the ones that are just the highly rated ones. I don't watch a ton of like, you should read this fantasy series videos, you know, because like I already know all of them.
Well, that's hard. It's just, I know nothing about that.
It's a different,
it's like a whole different world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't really, that's why we're trying to do
That's
both with
hard.
that and nonfiction, and then doing some of the doing some of the classic fiction. And like, we just like reading. So we obviously have our different things we like.
Well, that's what I figured too with my videos. I was like, well, I like this genre. I don't have to, just because a handful of people are talking about the same book, it doesn't mean it's better than something else I can find. I just wanted to make sure I was, I don't know, just trying to find stuff that I still like to read, but maybe I wouldn't have chosen from watching someone else's video.
Yeah. And I feel like if you're in this situation, just trying to force yourself to read books that you think would do well and you don't also enjoy them, like, you're probably not going to make great
it's going to
content.
show.
Yeah. So it's because there's been a couple that we have done. Like, I know when we did Dorian Gray, even though I said it with my words, I didn't need to for you to know that I did not enjoy that book. Like, you could almost tell I didn't want to be there.
That was one of my favorite videos that we did, though. That's what's weird about it. Is we both funny. Hated that book, and we were just making fun of it the whole time that we made a video about it. And so it was, I guess, still genuine. I don't know. I think I did try and fake some stuff for Three Body. I mean, I guess if we're not enjoying it, then it doesn't matter.
No, dude, you got on Three Body and you immediately were like, "Why did you tell me this was so good?" You immediately started flaming me for liking it so much.
It's tough for me to hide my opinions.
Yeah, oh, man. We know.
But we do need to read another book together, and hopefully it's something that I want us to step into your genre world.
I understand now. I was just picking any book.
No, I mean, I thought
fine too.
I was expecting the same, but the wager was good.
Was foolproof.
Yeah.
And the wager was fine. I just thought that was a good mix of. I thought it was going to be. It was definitely an adventure story. I just thought there was going to be. I thought it was going to be more.
Did it say mystery in the title? What's the long title for it?
It's like a tale of mutiny, murder.
A tale of shipwreck.
They really were playing up murder and mutiny, and it was just like
there's one shipwreck, there's one murder, one mutiny.
Yeah,
the book's 300 pages long.
So they weren't wrong, I guess. But that is true. It definitely made it look like that. That's funny how they did that.
Which I did think. Have either of y'all read the other one, Killers of the Flower Moon? I did think that one was better than this one. Like, it's a more. I don't even know if the story is necessarily more entertaining, but it felt like, I don't know if it was better written, but I felt more like invested and engaged in that one. Obviously, I still like the wager.
That's a true crime. Is that true crime?
Oh, yeah. They were committing crimes for sure. Big time.
Okay.
Big time.
And it's all true, yes. Which I'm interested to see the movie because apparently Scorsese took a few liberties and like kind of changed like he left out a few bigger parts and like kind of slightly changed. I don't know. The thing I read was kind of confusing. I couldn't understand if he had necessarily changed things that like did happen to didn't happen, or if he just changed like the delivery or like certain people doing certain things. So the same thing kind of happens, but it's just presented differently. Mm-hmm. So I'll be interested to see. It was a few years ago now that I read it, so I don't know that I'll actually remember enough to recognize it. But anyway, I thought that one was a little bit better than the wager.
Okay. Yeah. No, I've been interested in that one for a long time.
Yeah.
Just haven't read it.
But we should read one of these. I'm down for No Exit, or if there's one you haven't read that you think would be good.
Okay. I'll take a look and let y'all know.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd like to
I've heard The Silent Patient is really good.
I love The Silent Patient.
Carolina hated that book.
That one is polarizing.
It is. So
Jesse
my girlfriend actually recommended it, and she loved it. And I was into it, Caroline. We have a short little 10, 12-minute review that I did on it. I was into it until the twist. That felt like a cheap trick by the author. Did you not think that when you were going to Theo's times with his wife, did you not think we were in real time?
This is getting cut out, right? This isn't going to be. I don't want to spoil the silent. I'm not going to spoil the silent.
Well, no, we do mostly spoilers. So we'll just say spoilers, then we'll put a spoiler alert.
Well, okay. I read The Silent Patient similar to what I thought I knew what the twist was, and I thought it was going to be a Shutter Island twist where the doctor was a patient.
Okay. See, I could see how you would get that potentially.
So that's what I thought. So I was just happy that the twist was not at all what I
Yeah,
thought. But also, I don't know. I didn't see it coming, but also the twist I thought that was going to happen was working with how the
really,
story,
yeah,
how that was presented.
yeah. And
Yeah, it was working.
I shouldn't say I hated it because, truth be told, like I read it really quick, like it kept me super engaged. I shouldn't say I think I gave it a three
Mm-hmm.
out of five. So it's not like it was one of the worst books I read. I
Yeah.
didn't hate it. I think he's a good writer. I was just personally like I almost felt insulted by the twist
Yeah.
because he starts off that like every time he's going to times with his wife, I'm thinking, okay, this is after what just happened in the story with the girl that killed her husband at work. But no, he's
Mm-hmm.
flashbacking the whole time, and you don't know that. And then all of a sudden, the timelines just merge, and you're like, wait, these have been flashbacks
I
the whole
love
time.
that. See, that's why I think Andrew said similar stuff where he's like, "Oh, da 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 da," and I'll be thinking, "Okay, maybe you just don't like thriller
Yeah,
books,
About what?
or
that did
maybe
sound like Andrew though.
yeah,
Da-da-da-da. It sounded
you'll
like Ice
say stuff
Spice.
like,
Da-da-da,
I don't know.
da-da-da.
I've definitely had that thought before of how does he not get? I just don't think I like fantasy because I just don't know if he likes
Yeah,
I
thrillers.
do like thrillers. I
Um,
don't know if I've ever read a book that you recommended and I didn't like it. I liked Battle Royale and um, American Kingpin.
American Kingpin. Yeah. Okay. Well,
so pressure's on for the next book you recommend.
Well, cool.
You want to keep on a hot streak
It
of
was
books that we like.
what it was. The book that Caroline, I think this traumatized her, was Anna Karenina. And I did not like the way that book
that's
was.
not a
I know it's
thriller.
not, but I think that's what you're referring to. It's
Is
one
that
of
the
her
Leo
all-time favorite.
Tolstoy book?
No,
Yeah, dude.
I
Okay.
vaguely I love that book. I vaguely remember what it was about. I think that it was that you described Jade War or Jade, one of them or all of them as thrillers.
I honestly,
And
I
I
don't
just
claim to be
I
a
think
literary major. I thought
So you might have
thriller
misexplained
meant,
that one.
yeah. Thrilling means
and I was
exciting,
reading
right?
it
I had a
like
thrilling time last night. I just assumed it was a very exciting book, so I thought it fell
Oh
on the
God.
guidelines there.
I just feel like there were a few things you're like, yeah, it's just like a thriller,
No, it's definitely
you know?
Godfather-esque. I don't know if that counts as thriller.
No, it like
You
I'm
just
just
don't
You're
understand
not
genres,
kidding.
Andrew. It's
No, I
okay.
don't. I'm not, and I don't claim to know genres at all.
I don't either.
I'm not calling him
You
out. I
are.
She's
just
calling
don't
me out, and it's fine.
You are
It's
live
fine.
on air.
This
in
is as
front of thousands.
confrontational as Caroline's going to get right here. So I
Oh
have a
man.
question, Caroline. Have you ever read? Have you ever read a book called Hidden Pictures by Jason?
Yes, by Jason
You've already read
Yes,
it.
I love
Oh,
that.
man, never mind then.
hmm Oh, but I would reread it.
Really? See,
Yeah, I've
I
heard a
mean, we
lot about
I
can.
that.
think I really, really love that book. I don't think I have it marked on Goodreads though.
What? That seems.
I was feeling very manic this summer. I was just reading
You're
for
just
fun
reading.
again.
That's a
Not that
good
I
place
don't
to be.
always, but like I stopped like caring if I was reading 20 books at one time. I just would read until I found one and I would just read it and then I'd finish it and move
Yeah.
on.
Caroline's
That is
reading
nice.
strategies are wild, dude. I've forgotten about that. I mean,
Just go with the flow.
she can read so many books at one time, and it's impressive.
Yeah, I don't know how you manage that. I'm reading 2 right now, and it is really stressing me out. Like honestly.
Really?
It's not like it's just
I
like
can't.
I feel like I actually don't know what it is. I think I'm just crazy. It just like bothers me like to the point where like I started Napoleon and The Hunger of the Gods at the same time. I'm like 400 pages into The Hunger of the Gods now and like 150 into Napoleon because I just got to the point where I was like I got to finish one of these stories. It's just like bothering me. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't like it. I can't do it.
No, that sounds like a very neurotypical experience, I think. I think that's what people should be doing.
Yeah, maybe. But it sounds like you're having fun too. So whatever works for you, you know?
No, yeah, I mean, I have a great
What
time.
about What Moves the Dead?
Yeah, that's the T. Kingfisher retelling of Fall of the House of
Yeah,
Usher,
you've
right?
already read it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna wrap this up before we
Never
keep just
mind.
scrolling through Goodreads. We can keep
Yeah, we'll
talking
figure
after
it
if y'all
out.
want. But all right, so the wager, we enjoyed it. Fun one. If you're listening, do all the things like subscribe. Check out Caroline. It's just Caroline Johnson on
Yeah, are you
YouTube for
back?
yours.
Are you back, Caroline?
Yeah.
You about to start dropping some content
Are you
soon?
actually back? You're back.
Mm-hmm.
You're stating right now. You're willing to state
Yeah.
right now that you're back.
On the record.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, I'm back.
Bet. So check her out. Appreciate watching, listening if you are. And we'll see you next time. It's Lit Book Reviews. Thank you so much, Caroline, for being here with us.
Thank you guys.
Peace.
Yay.